Hey guys, I welcome you all to day 17 of Anthropology lecture series. So this will be the last you know lecture in this chapter. After this we are going to start with very important topic 1.8, that is, and it is also connected with this topic, so I'll be finishing that topic first. So let's get started. So we had already studied about, just wait, I'll just tell you the whole chronology. We had we had started Homo sapiens yesterday, and in Homo sapiens we had to read about three categories, that is Cro-Magnon, Chancelade and Grimaldi, right? So Cro-Magnon we had finished yesterday only, but I will give you the background of it with these two topics so that थोड़ा revision हो जाएगा. And after this 1.7 topic, that is biological part, जैसे what is a cell, function of cell, parts of cell, all of that is there, which we are going to skip, because anyway in the further chapters, that is in chapters like 9, 9.1 and all, we are going to cover it, and as such you don't need to study this chapter in a lot more detail, because this is just for your understanding bit. This doesn't come in the paper as such. As of now I have not seen this part ever coming in the paper. So this is just to understand, because if you don't understand the basic biology, you will not be able to understand the further chapters. But I will make sure that I teach you this part, which is just for your understanding, as and when it is required. So we are going to skip this one. 1.6 we are already doing, and after this we are going to start with 1.8 itself. You will not skip anything, I promise you that. This topic is concerned with 1.8, so we will start to keep it in continuation. We'll start this. This is not required, okay? So let's get started. I hope you know now what I wanted to say. So in Homo sapiens today we are going to do Grimaldi and Chancelade. But before Chancelade, I want to finish Grimaldi first. I'll just tell you why. See, Grimaldi. Yesterday when we were doing Cro-Magnon, we had seen that they existed around 40 to 30,000 years ago, right? So next in continuation is Grimaldi, because it was found like 25 years ago. Okay, so it was found 25 years ago, and it followed more or less the same culture, that is Aurignacian or Upper Paleolithic, same as Cro-Magnon man. Okay, so it was found in a cave called as Grotte dei Enfants in Italy. Okay, so please don't excuse me for wrong pronunciation if it is. So as you can see, this is Grotte dei Enfants, whatever it is, this man, who lived in the Upper Paleolithic Aurignacian culture. So this race of Homo sapiens resembled mostly the modern day negroids. You can see, if you see this person more closely, you will be able to make a comparison ki yes, maybe it looks more like a negroid person. So if I have to go and compare it with the Cro-Magnon, it lived 40 to 30,000 years ago in the same culture as Aurignacian. If I had to make a modern day comparison, so Canary Island ke ranchos of Canary Island, they mostly closely resemble with, right? And they were also found first time found in France in a cave called Cro-Magnon, and they were first found in Italy. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Now the physical features. So 1265 to 1450 cranial capacity, lower than Cro-Magnon, which had like 1400 to 1600, less than that. Okay, poorly developed supraorbital ridge. Okay, so now the supraorbital ridge, if I draw a man like this, just imagine it to be a skull. Okay, so this would be the supraorbital ridge, okay, which was like poorly this part, which is poorly developed. Okay, nose depressed at the root. Okay, so now if you see negroids, if you have ever seen any pictures of them, they have very peculiar noses, like very broad and depressed noses they have. Just Google the pictures, you will see they have like broad and depressed noses. So similar to that, their nose was like that. Bulging forehead. Bulging forehead means like this something. Sorry, this looks very bad. Let me just redraw it. Something like, oh my no, just wait guys, this looks really bad. Let me draw it on the other side. Yeah, so this is like bulging, right? It is not like straight, it's like bulging, right? So bulging forehead. Then forearms and lower legs longer. That is the, if I draw, just imagine this to be a hand, and just imagine this to be a thigh, which looks like very bad. This is a leg and this is a arm. Just imagine that. So forearm means this part, that is the lower part, and lower leg, this part, lower leg is longer. Okay, longer. Then height 5'3", as seen from a evidence of a female skull, that she must be around 5'3" height. Jaw is strong. Broad platyrian nose. Now just try to understand this very closely. You don't need to memorize it as such. Also in the further chapters, when we are going to closely study about race, we are going to do all these measurements, how to measure a different body parts. Like if I see noses are different, it's not like similar in people. Okay, so there are platyrian noses, then there are platyrian noses are there, then different noses, variety of noses are there. Then there is leptorine. Okay, so and mesorine. That means that platyrian is broad. Okay, and broad and short, whereas if I have to see, leptorine would be long, a long nose which is narrow also, and mesorine will be something in the middle. So if you have to see, classic platyrian noses are found in negroids, classic leptorine noses are found in Europeans. Like unke hote na, they are very sharp features, so like a sharp nose, Hrithik Roshan type nose, like very sharp. And then there are mesorines, which are neither too broad nor too narrow, neither too short nor too long. Okay, so somewhere in the middle. So they had like broad noses, platyrian, which is like a classic negroid type nose. Okay, so obviously their all characteristics are closely resembling negroid, so obviously nose will also resemble that way only, na? And poorly developed chin. So chin was not developed very properly. So you can see the physical features from here, right? If this is just a map that I have given you, how to see how evolution happened. Like this is a Neanderthal skull, this is a Neanderthal skull, this is a Cro-Magnon skull, which you can say a Homo sapien skull. Okay, and this is the modern man, which is Homo sapien sapien, right? So you can see here and here, mostly it is the anatomy is mostly similar only. Okay, with a little difference here and there and in size, otherwise it's similar. But Neanderthal से इधर it is a lot more different, right? So इससे पहले जो Australopithecus था, वो तो it was more like this. So considering we have come from this to this is a long story, right? So we have studied all of that. So now let's go back to, okay, so now is the phylogeny. Again, as different things, it is no different here also. We have a lot of confusion as to where to put this Grimaldi man. So remains suggests that it has negroid characters and evidence of negroid race in Europe in origination time. Basically they are trying to say that this kind of man must have evolved in Africa okay, in upper Paleolithic times, and must have migrated to Europe, okay, in the origination times, that is upper Paleolithic, they must have migrated to that place. Some believe that they are simply variants of Mediterranean. Some say no, it's not like that, that they must have migrated to Europe from Africa. It's not like that. They are just a different variant of Mediterranean, right? So now here you again need to focus on the part that what are they trying to convey basically. For example, if you live for a long, matlab, generations and generations are going to live in high altitude regions, right? So their body anatomy would change so as to suit a high altitude climate, environment, place, right? So that is what happens if you stay at a place for a longer period. Your generations will, you know, acclimatize and adjust to that area. So that is where variations come in, right? For example, Ladakhis are different from, you can say, UPites, right? So this is variation only, right? This is caused by environment, place. So this is what we are talking about. अब आप ये मत सोचना कि यू नो इसमें भी बहुत सारी कैटेगरीज है. इट्स नॉट लाइक कैटेगरीज, दे आर जस्ट माइनर वेरिएशंस, राइट? Like as we would study today the Sherpas of Nepal, or we'll study, you know, the Dravidians of South India. Though they are all Homo sapiens sapien, but obviously there are differences in characteristics, right? So this is what we are studying. So some people thought they were Africans who must have migrated to Europe, but some thought no, they must have been a simple variants of people who were living in Mediterranean. Living in Mediterranean for a long time caused certain changes that looked like that, okay? So this is the second view. The third view is by Smith and Keith. They were saying that they were primitive type of Cro-Magnon. Now if you just lay emphasis on the fact that I had already told you Cro-Magnon existed around 30 to 40,000 years ago, but this grimaldi was just there around 25 to 30,000 years ago. So how can this be a primitive primitive type of Cro-Magnon when it existed long after Cro-Magnon? So there is a contradiction here, right? But anyhow, Smith and Keith believed that they were primitive type of Cro-Magnon, and they were the early stock of European population. That is what they believed. But like if we closely see Cro-Magnon man also, na, that also shows negroid characters, and so does Grimaldi. But Grimaldi shows very pronounced negroid features. That is, it is much more out there in Grimaldi as compared to Cro-Magnon. So there's another hypothesis which says that Cro-Magnon, you know, they were living from a long time in Europe, and Grimaldi must have migrated from Africa, and they must have, you know, then must have hybridized with the people of Europe. So they became they became Grimaldi, okay? So the Africans must have migrated to Europe, they must have hybridized there, and then came a new variety that is called Grimaldi, okay? So this is what the whole phylogeny is all about. This is not going to come as a like a full-fledged question. It might come, but not only on a phylogeny of Grimaldi man. This is just to build a picture in your mind, right? So that brings us to the last last kind of Homo sapien, that is chancelade. So why I wanted to teach you last, because they existed around 17 to 12,000 years ago, okay? So they were the most recent, just wait, let me see, some error is coming, yeah. So they were the most recent if we compare them to the rest of the two, right? They were the most recent ones, and they belong to Magdalenian period. Now don't be confused, in 1.8 we are going to deal in depth and detail with what is Magdalenian and what is origination. Don't worry about that. Just, and I'll you know again bring these parts in that chapters also, so that you remember it forever. After origination culture came Magdalenian, okay? So just remember like that for as of now, okay? So if we have to compare these chancelade man with a modern person, we will say they look like modern day Eskimos. Okay, so here is the picture. You can just see this is a reconstructed portrait of how chancelade must have looked like. So this is what he must have looked like, and this was found first in from a cave in France, that is chancelade. And the skull, or not the skull, the whole skeleton which was found, it was like the head was folded on the chest and knees touching the jaw. So again, this shows that the skeleton was not like proper, like in the straight body, right? It was something like this curved way it was buried. This again shows some kind of a religious belief or belief in afterlife, right? Just try to link things. Why? As to if everybody is buried like this, and if after some time people are getting buried like this, that must be a part of the religion, na? So that is how you have to link things, right? So we have seen फ्रांस से मिला, तो हमको क्रो-मैग्नन भी फ्रांस से ही मिला, and grimaldi we found from Italy, right? It looks like modern day Eskimo, grimaldi looked like modern day Negro, and Cro-Magnon looked like ranchos of Canary Island, if we have to compare them, right? Let's go the physical features. Cranial capacity 15 to 1700, more much matlab similar to that of Cro-Magnon. No prognathism, that is no outward projecting face, and a well developed chin. This well developed chin was missing in grimaldi, right? They had narrow bodies and a dolicephalic head, like I told you about Platyrini, na? Similar is the case with the head also. If we have to see the measurement of, if we have to take the measurement of head, na, head is also called cephalic, you know, so that is why it is called, it could be dolichocephalic, it could be mesocephalic. Like this, there are categories of different kind of heads also. So dolichocephalic means more or less long and narrow head, okay, whereas brachycephalic will mean a broad head, and meso will mean a medium, not like very broad, not like very narrow, middle kind of a variant, okay. So dolichocephalic head, that means like long and narrow, classic European, if you have to compare it with developed sagittal crest. I told you na, sagittal crest is here on the, if I make a face like this, so here is the sagittal crest, fine. Limbs strong and massive, indicating a muscular body. Of course they must have been doing very like hunting and all of that, so muscular body. Upper limbs longer, that means the upper arm and upper thigh area, they were longer, okay. And okay, so next is first metatarsal distinctly separated from second one like Neanderthal. Now just try to understand this, because this is again something new. You just need, these are just a little too like technical terms, so do not worry if you cannot remember it in one time. Just try to watch the video once, twice, and you will be clear with these. If I draw a foot, okay, so mind me, my drawing is not that great, guys, just wait, okay. So if I have to say, this is the bones, right? This is how a feet will look like from, you know, this is how the bones are somewhere in your 5 fingers, okay. So this is the first metatarsal, this is second, this is third, this is fourth, and this is fifth. So what it is saying, the first metatarsal is distinctly separated from the second. That means they are like quite distinctly separated from each other, like that of Neanderthal, okay. So I hope you now understand this. Then dolichocephalic head, sorry this is repeated, just cut it. And then leptorhine nose. Now what is this? Leptorhine, we had seen platyrhine, leptorhine and mesorhine. So leptorhine is the long and narrow one. Long and narrow one. Grimaldi was having which kind of it was having platyrhine, right, which was like broad, depressed, and short nose. So they are having like वो एकदम sharp वाला ऋतिक रोशन वाला. So they are having ऋतिक रोशन वाला nose. So I hope you understand now. So basically थोड़ा सा यूरोपियन टाइप का, जो आज के यूरोपियंस है ना, कुछ वैसा like वैसे कुछ characteristics, like that. So now we have seen this chancelade and modern day Eskimo जैसे, and we have seen the physical features also and the phylogeny. Now based on similarities between Eskimos and chancelade, it is claimed that following the retreat of ice sheet towards north, they must have moved to North America and gave rise to Eskimos. So now what is happening is, by the time Upper Paleolithic ended, Ice Age also ended. Okay, Ice Age also ended. So when Upper Paleolithic ended, Mesolithic period started, and in Mesolithic period na, a lot of woodlands came up, grasses got in place of like, because Ice Age ended, so there was a lot of a warm climate, warm climate came, so climate was changing, so a lot of area was opening up for people to live, ठीक है ना. So people migrated, because after a point, imagine if this is earth. Let me just try to tell you what I'm trying to say is basically, if I have to imagine what is happening, just wait. Yeah, if I have to imagine that this is the earth, okay, this is the equator. For example, if it is the ice age, everything is very very cold, okay, so people would be restricted to some part of the earth. They will not go beyond this because it's very cold. It's like Antarctica. Can you today stay at Antarctica? No, because it is very inhabitable, the conditions are very harsh, you cannot live there. But if more and more area would open up, as to if more and more area would be cleared because ice age ended, people would move na, people would move to further north, they will find new places to live, right? So they further moved. These people from Europe, they further moved to North America, and today what we see as Eskimos, or more appropriately the Inuits in North America, they are referring ki these people must have over the course of time evolved into Inuits of North America, the modern day Eskimos. Okay, and Houghton believes that they have their skull resembles the 12th century Icelanders of Norway and Irish origin. So this is again, they are trying to draw a parallel as to who looks more similar to the chancelade. They are the Norway and Irish origin Icelanders of 12th century, right? So this is all about this chapter. I hope you are clear with it as much as I could. I have tried to contain this topic in some stipulated time also, and I've tried कि आपको जहाँ जहाँ link बनाने के लिए ज़रूरत है, I've tried to do that also. So with this we have finished with this chapter, which was very important. Next is 1.8. Tomorrow we'll start with that. So till then, please like, share and subscribe, and it will keep me motivated, guys. Please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.